Hi everybody, welcome to Beer Reviews. Thanks for joining me. It is Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday for me is the time when I look back at my archives, I look back at beers I reviewed over 2 years ago, and I try them again. And it's just that, as the beer changed, certainly my thoughts about beers have changed. I now like styles I didn't like. I've probably fallen out of love with styles I've not met that yet. And taste buds change. So it'd be interesting I thought it'd be interesting to just go back and have a look and just see really how would I basically score the beer differently now. So this is the beer I've picked. In fact, this was recommended by a friend of the channel, and I'm sorry I can't remember who did it, but somebody hinted strongly that I review this one. So Hobgoblin Ruby, I reviewed back in May 2021. And interestingly, since then, this is a beer I keep going back to, probably a month, because it's really easy to get hold of, and I think Morrison started at one point knocking this out for £1. So probably a month would go by without me picking up one of these, a couple of these, and drinking them in front of the telly, because they're really easy drinks. What is interesting is when I first reviewed this back in 21, this was a 5.2% ABV beer. No, it's only 5%. So I think it got reduced back in about March. This has been up, I think when it first came out, it was up as 5.6. So over the years, this has come down in ABV. What is interesting as well, because I do look back at my old reviews, my notes. When I look back at Untapped, because that's Untapped, every time I have another drink, not always, I tend to try and just record the fact I've had it and just kind of almost like rescore it. Interestingly, I've dropped this down since 2021. Every, I don't know, 6 months or so, I've been knocking it down in score. I've become less of a fan of it. I was quite a fan of it, and become less so over time. So I think when I first started, I think I scored it about 7.5 out of 10. I think the last ones I had, I was scoring something like 6.5 out of 10, something as low as that, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's stop gassing. Let's put it out, shall we? Now I do kind of understand why brewers need to reduce ABV. I understand the economic reasons for it. I understand supermarkets put pressure on all suppliers, including brewers, to keep the prices low as they can. Brewing costs are getting higher. Brewing is getting more expensive. So the only thing brewers can do really is change the ABV. It means changing the recipe. It means putting less in, bringing back down the ABV, which ultimately does change your taste. So beer in a glass. It's poured a dark ruby colour, just off white head. Good level of carbonation. To be fair, if I probably went back to maybe it looks a bit clearer and maybe a tad lighter. I don't know if it is a tad lighter or me just looking at it thinking, well, it's got to be in it because there's less malt in it. Yeah, do you know what? That does look maybe a little bit lighter than I would have had it 2 years ago. Let's get the aroma. It is malty. And those dark fruit flavours are there. But when I did look back at my Untapped review originally for this, I did say how light the aroma was, and it still is light. That's not changed. So I think aroma-wise, it's probably very similar to what it was. Right. Do you know what? It looks all right. It smells all right. Let's taste show. Cheers, everybody. Now, like I said, I've tried this every month, so I get it because it's just an easy one to pick up. But one thing I've noticed over the last couple of bottles I've had is there's been a bit of an off taste in the aftertaste. I'm still getting it. I don't know if it's just down to the lower ABV one. I haven't really recorded what ABV I was drinking at the time, but I have started to pick up this little off taste in the aftertaste. Now, certainly back in 2001, I definitely call this rich. I don't think, in fact, I think I could call it very rich. Can't call it very rich. It's not a rich beer anymore. It's malty. It's fruity. It's got those dark fruit flavours in there. There's a little bit of hoppiness coming through. It's got that plumminess. It's got that raisin flavour. So it's got the flavour still in there. Now, one thing I had forgotten, well, actually a couple of things. First, one thing I had forgotten from my original review is I did pick up a very, very slight licorice flavour, which I liked. Excuse me. And I haven't tasted that for a while, and maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe subconsciously I'm thinking it's not the same beer over the last couple of months, and that's why it's been reducing score a little bit. So yes, there's a couple of things for me. One, it's not as rich as what it was, and I've seen that with my own untapped scores. The flavour's thereabouts. That little bit of licorice note doesn't appear to be any, but there is that. Just after the bitterness, so in the bitterness there's just a slight off flavour, and I've had that for a while now. So it's not just this batch, this bottle, anything like that. I've had that for quite a while. What is interesting, I forgot to mention earlier on, what is interesting about these guys bringing their ruby, because it used to say legendary, didn't it? I'm sure this used to say legendary ruby. Sure they used to call it. It says drink legendary on the back. I'm sure it used to be a bit more proud at the front, say legendary ruby. So they know they've done something to it, don't they? That's not going to make it legendary anymore. No, what's interesting about them making this ruby 5% is these guys. It's actually obviously it's now owned by the Winchwood Brewery. Is now owned by Marston's. Marston's now make, or not now make the Lidl Hatherwood Ruby Ale, and that's 5% as well. That's always been 5%. So it's been a bit of a dumbing down in that one, that Ruby Ale, and people like that Ruby Ale. It's sold quite well, so I thought, you know what, we can get away with the Hobgoblin branded one as well. I don't know. I have to say, on some of it, they've got it right. Not got it right, but it's not changed. So it's still that fruitiness there. There's a nice little plumminess coming through. So on that side, it's quite nice. It's still a smooth beer to drink, and it's still got a nice bit of finish. It's not as rich as it was. I mean, these guys don't even call it legendary anymore, so take for it what you want. And it's got that really weird. I'm finding, and I'd be interested if anybody else has had this beer recently, whether they've got it. It's something aftertaste, which I'm not liking. I don't like it. I am going to change the score. Another bit I'm going to change the score over. Got a frog in my throat tonight, so I do apologise. Like I said, when I originally reviewed this, I'm sure I scored it like 7.5 out of 10. It's turned into a very average Ruby Ale, a very average beer, and I'm only going to give it an average score. It is a 5 out of 10. I've dropped that massively over 2 years, and I don't think it's my taste. I think that the beer has changed that much. I think they've done something to it, and then they've lowered the ABV. And it's interesting, like I said, looking back at my own tax results, how they've been dropping and dropping and dropping, and now looking at it again, it is just an average beer. No better, no worse. It's a 5 out of 10 from Andy's Beer Reviews. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. Comment, like, subscribe, because I'm interested in your views on this beer. Yeah, whatever you're drinking, please enjoy it more than I enjoy this one anyway. Until the next review, cheers everybody.